Hello students, thanks for watching the last video that is on Armstrong number. And as per the reviews and comments that I received personally, that the student wants to know whether there is a program for which we can extend this concept of Armstrong number and find out if we give them a range. So can we find out all the prime Armstrong numbers between these two values? Okay, so this program is extension to the previous program on Armstrong number. So if you haven't seen the program on Armstrong number, I request you to click the link that is provided above and read the concept of the Armstrong number first, and then come back to see this extended version of the Armstrong number program. So this program actually talks to you about that the user will give a range as an input, and we want to find all the Armstrong numbers between those two ranges, including the values. Okay, so let us understand first the concept. The concept says that if we give you a range, suppose 100, and we give you a range say 500, right? So this is the num1 value and this is the num2 value. These are the two range values that we have given is provided by the user. And now the program, what this program will do, it will try to read each and every value 101, 102 up to 499, 500, right? So it will keep on reading all the values and checking whether any of them is an Armstrong number or not. And if it finds any value, it will push that value. Suppose at middle of this traversal, you find a value called x as an Armstrong number. This x will be stored into a list, right? This will be stored in a list. Suppose after some time I find y also, so I will again store that y, and after some time I find z also, so I will find store this z. So the list has three values x, y and z, and finally when I am done with this complete range, I will print the value of the list. So these x comma y comma z are the Armstrong numbers that lie between 100 and 500. So this is the overall objective of the program. So now let us execute the program. Let us go through the program, a dry run of the program. I'm not executing it because it's like it won't be able to understand each and everything, but manually I will tell you everything, each and every step that we follow. So the first thing is the first line number 1 actually tells you about a statement. This is given for the user. Enter a range between which you wish to find the Armstrong numbers. So it is a statement for the user to understand that the next thing that you are going to enter are the range values. So the next thing is the user will see enter a starting value or 3-digit value. So a 3-digit value means suppose the user enters the same thing as 100, right? This 100 now is stored in a variable called num1, and likewise it will again get a value, enter the standing value, 3-digit number. Suppose the user enters a value called 500, so this 500 is going to be stored in num2, right? Now we have two values, num1 and num2. Now we want to process them, and we have told you that the logic can be different. You want to print each value of each iteration, you want to print the value. So instead of doing that, we store it into a list, and finally when we are done with all the values, we printed the list. This is how we do. So for that, we at the line number 5 we created an empty list known lst underscore num. This lst underscore num is an empty list. So this is an empty list, right? And this will store the value of only those values which are found to be an Armstrong number. Now in line number 7, what we are doing is we're starting the loop. So we have used a for loop because we know both the values 100 and 500. We know the start and end of the particular in this situation. We know from where to start and where to end. So that's why we use a for loop. So we have a for loop. We have a for iterative variable called num in range num1. Starting value will be 100 and ending value will be num2 plus 1. Num2 is 500, right? 500 plus 1 is equal to 501. So we have used 501 because the the ending value of the range generally is one less than the loop goes one less than the ending value. So we want to include 500. That's why we have used 501. Okay, that's why we have added 1 additionally to num2 because we want to reach the value called 500. Okay, now inside this for loop, the first statement is line number 9, talks about saving that number into an original num value, right? Why we do this, we have seen in the previous video about Armstrong number. Those who don't understand, kindly go back to that video, watch it, understand it, come back, and we will you understand this now. So we stored this num value, that is, suppose this time the first thing is 100. The first value that num has is called 100. So we put this 100 here, right? 100 is stored into num. So original num actually has the value called 100. And num also has the value called 100, right? Sum has a value called 0. Sum has a value called 0. Now going to the next line, which is line number 12, it says that while this num is more than 0, while this num that we are referring now is more than 0, do these 3, 13, 14, 15 line. So line number 13 says you have a variable called remainder. So when we divide this num, the value of num was 100. 100 divided by 10, the value will come out to be 0, right? And the value of the sum now will be sum. The value of sum initially was 0. The value of remainder is 0, though the sum will again remain to be 0, right? And the value of the num will be now reduced. The value of num will now be 10 instead of 100, right? So it goes up and checks whether this num is still more than 0. Yes, this num is more than 0 because the value is 10. It comes back in, find the next remainder, 10 modulus 10, the value will be 0. Okay, and the sum will again be 0, right? And the num will now be reduced to 1, right? Num will now be reduced to 1. It goes up again, and this one now the num value is 1. 1 is more than 0. It comes back in 1 modulus 10. The remainder now turns out to be 1, and the sum is equal to sum plus remainder. Remainder now becomes 1. 1 modular 1 raised to power 3 is 1. So the sum now changes to 1, right? And now the value of 1 divided by 10 is reduced to 0. When it goes up again, this value of this condition 0 more than 0 becomes false, right? At this time the value of sum is 1, and it goes out of this loop till line number 17. It says that value of sum, that is 1, value of the original num, that is 100. If they both are equal, we will append it. If because they are not equal, it will go up again and take the next number. Okay, so let us see, because 100 was not an Armstrong number, so we don't append it in that particular list. Now let us see one number, because it lies between these two values of 100 and 500, and we will see it is a Armstrong number. Suppose the number was 153, or a number that we haven't taken in the last class is 371. Suppose the number is 371, which lies somewhere between 100 and 500, right? So suppose this num comes up to be this number, right? This is the number that num is now reading. So it will go up again and store this num as in the original num. So original num now will have the value called 371, right? Now coming back here, this num has a value called 371, which is more than 0. This is true. Come back here, the num was 371 modulus 10. The value of num remainder will be 1, right? Some initial value was 0, so this was 0. Remainder value comes up to 1. 1 modulus 3, so sum value will now equal to 1. Now this num value was 371, so the new value will be 37, right? It will go up again. Now the value of the number is 337, which is more than 0. Come back in, find the next remainder of 37 modulus 10. The value of the remainder becomes 7 now, right? The value of sum was 1, right? Now value of the remainder becomes 7. 7 modulus 3 is 7 7s are 49, and 49 sevens are 343. This is 343, right? And the number now becomes 3. Number now becomes 3. Both 37 divided by 10 is 3. Now go up again, it has 3. The sum is 343. The remainder becomes 3. 3 plus 343 plus 3 times cube of 3, that is 27. So the number becomes 371, right? Oh, वन मैंने ऐड नहीं करा, 344 हो गया था यहाँ पर, ठीक है. 344, दिस वॉज 344 इनिशियली. सो द नंबर बिकम्स 371 and this number now reduces to 0. It goes up and it will find this number as false. So it will come back to this part. It says the sum comes out to be 371 and the original number again was 371. So if these two are equal, what it does, it will append this original number into this list, right? So the list number will now have a particular value. List num will actually have a value called 371. Okay, likewise it will check all those values that belongs to which validates this functionality of line number 12 to line number 15. If you are able to find the sum which is equal to original number, it will append, otherwise it will not append. So once this for loop is done completely, when this loop ends, the control will come to line number 20 and it will print the value of all the value that is contained in the list. So list will have certain values. So in this case, because the numbers are 500 and 500, so you should get a list value as 153, 370, 371 and 407. Okay, these are the 4 values that will be contained in this particular list. So I want the users of this particular video to comment it out and tell us what values do you see in the list items. Okay, this is a request to all the viewers, all the students who actually watch this video, to just comment it out on the YouTube and tell us what values do you see in after executing this code in your editor, whatever editor you are using right now, and tell us what is the value that you actually see in the list num value. Hope that it clears the concept of how you actually takes two values and find out all the Armstrong number between these two 3-digit numbers. So if you want us to extend the concept, again the same question comes, that instead of 3-digit numbers, now you want to go for a 4-digit number, or when you enter two numbers of the same order, same digits, you want to find the number of digits first and then you want to cube it, or you want to have 4 times or you want 5 times power. Let us know, we will create a video on this particular concept as well. So looking for your comments in the video about the list items. Thank you very much.